if people are dying left, right and center and the people were supposed that the wheel is not there,
तर 3 वर्ड पेजा तितून एक रिकमेंडेशन हांव सदांच सांगता एक पोस्ट तो एक रिकमेंडेशन आनी एक्सटेंशन.
Chief Minister recently he has made some kind of statement that people should go for public transport.
They started by KTC electric buses. So there was no proper bus stop. There is a bus stop, but the bus doesn't stop to the bus stop.
Road engineering standards now mostly we could focus on the highways and this and that. You know?
Hello and welcome to another episode of Goa365's Story Behind the Story. Now we have been seeing on a almost daily, no not almost, on a daily basis accidents happening on our Goa roads. Some have been major, many fatal, most accidents, the deaths are of youth, and I don't think that anybody has a clue. Probably theoretically there are a lot of clues, but nothing seems to be happening and accidents are happening on a regular basis. Now to discuss this issue, whether what, the hows and the reasons behind, I have a very senior panel with me today who I would like to introduce without too much of delay. Starting with Boswebab Silva, retired SP. Boswebab, welcome to our show.
Thank you.
He's been, I think, almost for a year, little less than a year, who's also been in charge of traffic in Goa. So he's one of the people who can, experts as you could call it. Boswebab. Siola by was advocate. Siola ma'am, welcome to our show. She's also a politician. Sometime back I would say budding, now pretty seasoned. Siola ma'am, welcome to our show. Sudeep Bab Tavankar, long time social activist, very hardcore, very outspoken. Sudeep Bab, welcome to our show. Vincent Bab Rosario, our own, I will not introduce him. I think you guys know him. And last but not the least, Soter Bab Souza, who is a very senior. He was a former journalist, a very senior social activist. He's involved in a lot of things, including with I don't know, I will not get into it, especially in the present situation on religious and non-religious sentiments and all. Anyway, a very old friend of mine. I think I started my career working with him as a journalist many years back. Soter Bab, welcome to our show. Boswebab, tell me now, you have been not only in general policing, investigation, all that, but in your long career, you have seen what's happening on our roads. You have been heading traffic with these huge amounts of accidents, what's happening. You know. Tell me one thing, is this such a case that it's a gone case, it cannot be sorted out, and these things are going to happen, we don't have a choice?
The problem, though it is hyped, it is not so big. These accidents also can be controlled. Only thing, there has to be a will to carry out enforcement. Besides that, traffic education also is important, for which we normally have this education programs involving schools, PTAs, even at Panchayat level. When I was there, we used to have this regularly, monthly. But my personal view is that these programs do not go to that extent to decrease all this. I remember an incident where we had such a program at a school in Nove. I will not go into the details. It's on the old highway. Now we have the bypass. PTA was addressed. We had a film also, educational film regarding wearing of helmets, observing traffic rules and all that. And some days later, there was a vehicular accident. A Kadamba bus had stopped. There was a bus stop over there, and a car was coming from Verna towards Margao. This parent crossed in between, behind the bus, came in the way of this car. Fortunately, he and the child survived. People came on the road also in Nove that year. This car had a dashboard cam. So the whole thing, and this man was the one who was speaking a lot at that program which we had held. So I felt that it is worthless having this when this person who was there himself doesn't know to observe the rules, and a parent with a child on a two-wheeler.
Yeah. I have seen that a lot because the way
I still have that video on my mobile. This boy who was driving the car is an adult. His wife is a lawyer. Father-in-law is also a lawyer.
Influential.
Okay.
Yeah. And then once this went, the view cam that they produced dashboard, and everything was evident. Then the people who were blocking the road, they dispersed, because then they came to know. My view was that we have so many programs, these people come there, yet it is useless. But enforcement is more effective because the fines have increased. Now, for example, regarding minors driving.
Correct. I was going to ask you that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Regarding minors driving, a parent is not supposed to give a vehicle, whether it's a four-wheeler, two-wheeler, to a child below 18. And there have been incidents involving such children. In Vasco, there was a incident where a boy went to collect his sibling from tuitions. He knocked off the life of a woman who was working in the municipality. She had got the job on compassionate ground. She had 2 children. They were without a mother. Father had passed away earlier. There were similar other incidents also. Then there was an incident recently in Lotuni where that boy went with the four-wheeler without his parents' knowledge. He used to go out, and on that road through industrial state, he crashed live, and the car was had got completely damaged. So the rules are there. Here the parent is punished, penalized, and the child is produced before the Juvenile Justice Board. That child will not get a license till he attains the age of 25. And in that case we are serious. Even alcohol driving, but that is not so much with the Goans. It is more with this tourists who come. And we used to have a control sort of on this rent-a-car, rent-a-bike people. They affect the livelihoods of the taxi drivers also and the motorcycle pilots also. And if you see, they go, one person is with the mobile clicking, so their attention is always not on the road. They are the ones who meet with most of the accidents.
Yes, sir.
But again in Goa, we have road conditions also. There was an incident when I was there somewhere in April-May of 2023 at Mandre. This lady, she was a Colombian woman. She was coming on a two-wheeler. Electricity department had outsourced digging work, laying of cables, underground cables in Mandre constituency. These people had not even put a signage. They are supposed to put signages. Yeah. And besides that, they have to keep some people called as traffic marshals. They have to engage them. It is not the job of the police.
Correct.
They don't do that as well. And PWD people just don't supervise that well. Even in Panjim during this digging and all, there were no traffic marshals. And that is a must. Even it is part of the tender conditions also. When the tender is awarded, the document says they have to engage a marshal and all. And they feel it is the work of, public feel it is the work of the police. Police will assist them as and when they are called to. Otherwise, their people have to be there because they are paid for it, the contractors. There, we issued a notice afterwards. It came under Pernam police station. This lady died because there was no signage. She fell in the ditch. She had a helmet, but she had other injuries. And multiple injury to the chest and all, hemorrhage, and she died. After that, I called up the PI and DYSP in Perne. I said, you issue notice under so and so sections to them. Then they started running helter-skelter. The engineers also and the contractor also. I requested to blacklist that contractor. He was not blacklisted.
That is another issue. But actually, you know, Basabab, this is something that I think we need to take up, Vincent. We'll come to you a little later, because this is something that we do. We were not aware of these faults actually.
Who?
We were not aware that there has to be a marshal or whatever.
Yeah,
I think we will take it up from there. Yeah,
it is there.
Yeah,
It
this
was there because last time I had even asked this thing, commissioner of Smart City. I mean, not a commissioner, the CEO of Smart City, because I knew that high visible vest they are supposed to wear, but I asked him. He said, okay, I'll take this on board and I'll make it they wear. But
I don't think it is a CCP thing. CCP doesn't give the tenders.
No, CCP, Smart City.
Here it was
when
Smart
the
City.
Smart City work was going on,
At
because every road they have to wear it.
At Santinez Junction also there were accidents during that digging. There were no traffic marshals.
No, never. I've never seen.
Then I had at that time Collector North was handling that. Then she said to me, you know, Mr. Silva, I got a call. We should not go after those contractors and all. Then the work will come to a standstill. I said, ma'am, people will lose their lives. Tomorrow, someone in the States, they take you to court also and file for compensation.
Nothing happens.
Here nothing happens. Now we have had Sunburn issuing notices to everybody.
Okay, that's a different matter. That we need to. I need to know why we were not sent notices. I was very surprised. Siola, now you are not only an advocate, you are also a politician. Now what Bosue has spoken is both. One is enforcement, implementation. Second is calls. He had not gone into calls as such. I think the other panelists will go more into calls, especially given that the Chief Minister has spoken about not taking calls and all. Though we have heard lots of things from what happened from his office. What do you have to say about this?
Since you have brought up the Honorable Chief Minister, recently he has made some kind of statement that people should go for public transport and that would reduce their risk on the roads. He has made that kind of a statement. It is welcomed. Of course, public transport is a very good way forward for Goa. Though Goa is a small state, so I think it is very manageable to achieve this, very achievable. And one more program of yours, I had said this point also of public transport. It is very important for students, for women, because traveling in groups in public is more safe for women. So of course it is desirable. But today we find that everybody is not only going to travel Margao to Goa and Margao to Panjim, Panjim to Mapsa. That route is well furnished. But other routes from the villages and all, even from Kalangut to Panjim, Kalangut to Mapsa, it takes more than an hour, I'm hearing from tourists and other people. So when that is the case, of course we are not saying that private players should not be there. I think it is a good space for private. It is a good space for private service. That is good. But it is difficult to develop these kind of things also presently because our roads are narrow. Our roads are winding because of the way our houses are, and these are the practical difficulties. So even though that statement is made, it is not going to, it is fancy, but it is not useful for anybody. I think it teases people, in fact, those who want to travel in public transport and don't get to travel in public transport. We also would have preferred if we are not driving our cars and bikes, because we know when we are on a bike, we are vulnerable, very vulnerable. Even if you are with your helmet, as Bosue Silva has just now said, that people are dying even with the helmet.
Of course.
So we know that. So when that is the case, then public transport is wanted and desirable, but it's not viable right now. But anyway, since you've asked me what
specifically about since you're an advocate and a politician, about those calls by politicians.
calls
To the enforcement agencies, which what the CM himself has admitted, saying that boys call and you should not take
we have seen
the calls and whatever.
We have seen in the
You feel as
Banastari
it
case
happens?
also.
Sorry?
You have seen in the Banastari case also, allegations are to this tune, as you're saying. that
Charge sheet has been filed. It's
charge
not
sheet has
just
been filed.
allegations.
Now charge sheet has been filed. So charges are there, but not yet framed. So in that kind of a case also, you have seen that calls, meetings have allegedly taken place, and that is why new names also got added subsequently. So that is there. I mean, Goa is so small, so there is that kind of pull and push which happens. But
You're talking about Banastari. I'm talking about today. If somebody is caught on the road and he happens to be an MLA and a minister's man, you think he'll not call?
not only that, not only for something
I'm asking,
more,
you think he'll not call?
he will call.
That's my point.
He will call.
In
And
fact,
not only that, they don't
I
have to
would
call.
like to
Sometimes they
interrupt.
just show.
In fact, when I was in traffic, they used to say that the person would come and tell the officer, "Ulai, ulai,"
Yeah.
and sang. So that was the situation. In
And-
fact, there were two officers heading traffic cells in South Goa. I had to issue them memos because enforcement by them was very poor. So then they came with an explanation which I thought was unsatisfactory. Whatever penalty I had issued, I stood by it. Then they came saying, "Sir, the call येता हे कित करपाचें आमकां तापयताय." Then I said, "You should withstand all that." And ultimately I got a call from a person saying, "Why are you harassing those officers?" And the people in our area, for them 500 also is too much. Now the fines have increased 1,000 and all. So you should be reasonable, try to educate them. I told him education is of no use because I gave that example itself. And enforcement, I feel personally, is the best.
You know, I'd like to interrupt. You know, not just interrupt. I would like to say now I have made this. I personally filed a story saying now Chief Minister has spoken this. The Transport Minister has agreed to it, but the Transport Minister was the one to say no, don't implement fines. He had to get one body from center to ensure that this. I am on record to say this, to see that it's implemented. Now tell me one thing: if people are dying left, right, and center, and the people were supposed to, the will, as Bosu said, the will is not there, how are you going to enforce the center is bothered about Goa ministers and MLAs are not bothered about Goa? This is ridiculous. That's why I brought it up, call for you as a politician. Okay, तुम्ही आता जाणा बिकॉज तुम्ही ते बस ट्रॅफिकान तुमचे कोणाचे फोन येता तुम्ही कोणा फोन मारता ते सगळे जाणा तुम्ही
ना मोटर व्हेकल पेमेंट जाला पळय तो 2018 साहेब खबर आणि गोयान इम्प्लिमेंटेशन 2022 जाला आफ्टर इलेक्शन बिकॉज ऑफ इलेक्शन दे हॅव केप्ट दॅट पेंडिंग
ओनली बिकॉज इलेक्शन
हय कित्याक इलेक्शना आधी जर फायन वाडयल्ल्यो मतां कोण घालतलो आपलो विचार करून त्यांच्यानी 2022चे पळय इलेक्शन जाला पळय मार्चाक 28 तारखेक गव्हर्नमेंट फॉर्म जाला आणि एप्रिलाचे 1 तारखेच्यान फायन चालू साहेब सांगतलो
तरी
माझे कडेन सगळे आरटीआय बी सगळे आसा
तरी इन्स्ट्रक्शन आशिल्ली ओरल इन्स्ट्रक्शन टिकेट ते मागीर ते फायन घालपाचे म्हणून सध्या आणि आम्ही ते 2 महिने तशेच ते चलयले.
Another point I would like to make, Sudeep Bab, पळय आता कॅमेरा घातल्या.
I was going to say one
कॅमेरा घालीत जाल्यार कोण फायन दिवचो ना, दिवंकूच जाय. तेकाच लागून एक कॅमेरा हांव एक डायरेक्ट चार्ज करता. तेकाच लागून कॅमेरा गोंयान आजून पासून चलना. बिकॉज मागीर कोणाक भितरल्यान फोन कशें चलतले? कोण फोन मारता डायरेक्ट पळयतले न्हू कॅमेराचेर. आणि 1 कोटी एक कॅमेरा ती चलना. ओके सॉरी
सगळे इश्यू पळया की गव्हर्नमेंट जे पळय आता प्रेझेंट गव्हर्नमेंट आहा एक बस ऑपरेटर जेन्ना आमी सगळे पळयता पळय तेन्ना म्हाका दिसता की टोटल फेल्युअर गव्हर्नमेंट आणि फाटल्या 10-15 वर्सांक हांवें अशें गव्हर्नमेंट पळोवंक ना. दिगंबर कामत सुद्दां गव्हर्नमेंट पळयले मागीर मनोहर पर्रीकर पळय पूण अशें गव्हर्नमेंट केन्ना पळोवंक ना. मुख्यमंत्री पळय आहा तो हांवें खूब तेजेर म्हाजे प्रेस आसतल्यो आनी तेजेर स्टोरी सांगल्या फक्त कानाक सूख दिता तो लोकांच्या व्हडले डायलॉग मारता ते स्टोरीन राजा बी कशें आसता ते स्टोरी सांगता पळय तशें तो एक सूख दिता लोकांच्या कानाक आनी लोकांक दिसता की खूब वो करतलो म्हणून गव्हर्नमेंट फक्त 3 वर्ड पळय जे आहा तितून एक रिकमेंडेशन हांव सदांच सांगताय एक पोस्ट फॅक्टो एक रिकमेंडेशन आणि एक्सटेन्शन हे 3 शब्द पळय
आज cabinet.
ह्या 3 शब्दाच्या प्रेमान सरकार आहा सारखे आणि खास करून प्रमोद सावंत प्रेमान कित्याक पळय आतां कितें रस्त्याचेर एक्सिडंट पळय जाता हांव टोटली सांगता टोटल म्हाजें एलिगेशन आहा की रस्ते सारके ना प्रत्येक हितून आतां इवन गडकरी सुद्दां पळय जेन्ना सांगता आमी डेव्हलपमेंट केलो विकास केलो म्हणटा ते सबंदीत पळय पूण म्हाका दिसना भायल्या स्टेटींनी तेंचें कितें चल्लां पळय आनी कितें ना पूण गोंयांत पुअर क्वॉलिटी आहा रस्त्याचें फिनिशींग आतां तूं मुद्दम याद करता की जेन्ना तो अखिलेश यादव युपीचो चीफ मिनिस्टर आसलो तेन्ना तेणी तो मुझफ्फर कॉरिडॉर जो रोड केला पळय हेचे कडेन ताज महला कडसून युपीक केला तेचेर 120 स्पिडीचेर इनोवाचे डॅशबोर्डाचेर जर ग्लास दवरीत उदकाचो एक थेंब पडनासलो 120-130 स्पीड केल्यार आणि त्याच रोडाचेर तेणी फायटर प्लेन देंवयली त्या वेळार सुखोई आनी ती प्लेनां देंवोवन दाखयली पण आता आमचो जर पत्रादेवी टू जर पोळ्या पर्यंत रोड जाला हेका आता ह्यो न्यू गाडयो न्यू मॉडेलाच्यो गाडयो आसून हेंका बॉडीक वायब्रेशन येता न्यू मॉडेलाच्यो गाडयो जर त्यो एम्बॅसिडर आनी फिएट आनी मॅटाडोर आसले न्हू जाल्यार तेंचे गुळे सुटोन वाटेक गाडयांची सगळी लायन बी लागतली आसली त्या तेंपाचेर पळय जाता पळय तशी आनी गडकरी जाता थंय हांव आयकता धारगळच्यान एक डेलिगेशन मेवळें तो हिल थंयसर लँडस्लायड ते व्हरून दाखयल्ले पूण एक्शन कोणाचेर काय ना जेन्ना प्रिन्सिपल चीफ पळय उत्तम पार्सेकर एका एक्सटेन्शनाचेर बसयता आनी सरकार तेजे कडसून सगळे कामां एक्स पोस्ट फॅक्टो एप्रुवलाक घेता तेचेर आनीक कितें उलोवपाचें आनी राज्य कशें चलतलें कळ्ळें तेका लागून न उलयल्लेलें बरें सगळें पळय जें चल्लां पळय हें सगळें करप्शनाच्या माध्यमांतसून आनी लोकांचे बळी वचाता आतां साहेबान सांगलें शिवोले मांद्रे नॉर्थ गोवा खंयच्याय एरियेक वच कलंगूट वच खंयसर एक रस्तो बरो गावना एक रस्तो फक्त कितें आसा तुका एक रस्तो चकचकीत दिसतलो तूं जर पूण म्हापसासून बिचोले वयता न्हू जाल्यार नवो बायपास रोड केला पळय तो तुका चकचकीत साखळे भायर सरला तो आतां कित्याक कोणाच्या तरी प्रॉपर्टीचे डेव्हलपमेंट बी जावपाक लागून तो केल्लो आसा कितें आनी मुख्यमंत्र्यान कित्याक सांगलां की पयर स्टेटमेंट केला की हांगासर की फोन करचो न्हू म्हणून मुद्दम सांगता म्हाका तेका लागून रोड सेफ्टीच्या प्रोग्रामांक बी वचना कित्याक आमकां तें आयकून मागीर सोंसपाक जायना हेंची भाशणां खरें आमकां तुका म्हणून हांवें बंद केला तें वचपाचें कित्याक भाशणां जर तुमी करता जाल्यार त्या भाशेन तुमचें तशें एक्शनूय आसपाक जाय आतां मुख्यमंत्री थंय सांगता कोणाचे फोन चलचे न्हय 4 दीस पयलीं मुख्यमंत्र्याच्या ऑफिसांतल्या एका मनशाक आडयलोन चलन दिलें आतां डायरेक्टर ऑफ ट्रान्सपोर्टान 75 चलन जावपाक जाय म्हयन्याक म्हणून टार्गेट दिला प्रत्येक इन्स्पेक्टरान म्हयन्याक 75 चलन दिवपाक जाय ते आतां रस्त्यार देंवपाक लागले कित्याक तांकां टार्गेट कंप्लीट करपाक जाय बिचोलेचे इन्स्पेक्टर जेन्ना रस्त्यार देंवले तेन्ना सांखळेच्या भागान एक मुख्यमंत्र्याच्या ऑफिसांतलो मनीस गावलो तेका तेणी चलन दिलें इन्शुरन्स ना आनी हेल्मेट घालूंक ना हे भायर पळयणारे सांगता तो सांगिना इन्स्पेक्टर पूण भायर पळयणारे सांगता इमिजिएटली रातचे तेच्या हातीन सकाळी उठून जर ऑफिसान येता जाल्यार बिचोलच्यान केपें ट्रान्सफर ITO इन्स्पेक्टराक मागीर मुख्यमंत्री जर हे करूंक तर शकता आनी ट्रान्सपोर्ट मिनिस्टराक खबर सुद्दां नाही तुम्ही जाय जाल्यार तेची इंटरव्यू घ्या तेचेर ताका खबर सुद्दां नासतना ही ऑर्डर येता डायरेक्टर वरसून त्या टायमार डिपार्टमेंटान नासलो लिव्हर आसलेलो डिपार्टमेंटाचो डायरेक्टर लिव्हर आसतना जेन्ना अश्यो ऑर्डरी येवंक लागल्यो CMाक जाय म्हणून मागीर तेका लागून हांवें पुलीस कंप्लेंट सुद्दां मागीर केली पुलीस स्टेशनार तुमी जाणा आसतले की डायरेक्टर ना म्हणून कित्याक ऑर्डरी कश्यो येतात मागीर हांगा आनी आमची कामां जायना डिपार्टमेंटान न्हू अश्यो गोश्टी सगळ्यो घडलेल्यो आहा कित्याक प्रमोद सावंताचे स्टेटमेंटूय म्हणजे एक सद्या जोक जाल्लो आहा आनी ताका म्हाका दिसता कोण सिरियसली घेयना आनी लोकांचो टायम पास आतां पयर सुद्दां एक स्टेटमेंट केला एक्शन घेता इंजिनियराचे शोकोज नोटीस काडल्या कॉन्ट्रॅक्टरांक कितें आउटकम काय ना फक्त उलोवप आनी लोकांक सूख दिवप and look खुश जाओ.
Sorry, we are going to run out of sorter, please. Last, I'll start with you in the next segment, but ending.
See, I think when we look at the road safety issue, there are two aspects of it. One thing is the road engineering. Okay, so as far as the safety standards and all that is concerned, and the other is the public users who use the road. Okay. Now, when I talk about the road engineering standards, now mostly we could focus on the highways and this and that, you know. But the pathetic state of the internal roads. Okay. Now, when you talk about internal roads, I live in Purulia. I live on the highway. Okay. Right from the 80s, I have questioned the very alignment of this national highway through a populated areas.
You're talking about the Porore highway.
This National Highway 66,
Porore, yeah.
which was National Highway 17 first.
Yeah.
Okay. First it was a major district road. Okay. After football games and all, we used to sit on the road. They want these taxis in those days, Mopsa taxi to Penny taxi. After office hours, we used to see taxis going, buses going. Okay, that was the traffic. Okay, and we used to sit on the road, and there was hardly anything. There was a major district road. Okay, which I think was very fine. Okay, whether a national highway, okay, 6-lane can pass through a populated township. Okay, first of all, I don't know. Mr.
Can I just interrupt you, and we'll take a small break, and then I'll start with
Sure.
you. Yeah. This is getting a little more interesting. I think it will become even better in the second half, because it's not only going to specifics, but it's going into little bit of holistics and implementation. I want to concentrate on implementation, especially in the second half. Keep watching Goa 365.